Howdy, Earthlings. For those in the US, if anyone watching from the US, yeah, you have rather cold air incoming, which seems to stay at least for a while. Yeah. You seem to have rather harsh conditions in your future. And some of you have probably heard or even seen things like trees exploding. There is something similar going on here in Finland as well in wintertime. And the Finns are calling it paukkupakkasia, whereas paukku means something like a small explosion, the sound of a small explosion or something. And pakkasia or pakkanen is basically a term for freezing temperatures. And it's a rather common thing here. So that's those exploding frost temperatures, paukkupakkasia. They are derived from the sound that comes from the trees that are cracking. And I'm not too sure where this is. Does it say anything? No. So, if this tree, the species of the tree, or the area where the tree is basically not used to these kinds of temperatures and stuff, or temperature fluctuations, and the trunk of the tree is still full with sap and stuff, so there's a lot of moisture, water in the tree, and it freezes over, water expands, and it can crack the tree. So some of the trees species, I think, they cope cold temperatures much better than others. That's why you don't find palm trees in northern countries. Okay, so now let's just have a quick look at this video. I will put a link below, you can check it out for yourself. So, I thought this is rather interesting because it's not that often that you can really see something like this. I heard it many times, but I've never seen it. And so I took a screen video of this because I thought I probably have seen some kind of a flash. And here's where we have the tree exploding. We basically just have one single frame of the explosion. That's the next frame, so it's already over. One frame. But I want you to pay attention to the ground here, the light conditions of the ground. Obviously, we have the shadow here of the tree, which seems to come from this land there. And we have to keep in mind that we might watch some AI video. If that's an AI video, it is made very good. But nonetheless, I don't think it's AI, but it cannot be totally ruled out nowadays, which is a very sad thing. But anyway, let's pay again attention to the light surroundings or conditions of this area. As we go on very slowly and carefully, now we have the explosion. There's very interesting stuff going on here. And look at the light conditions. There is no shadow anymore from the tree. So in other words, believe it or not, exploding ice is emitting light and therefore heat as well, because light is just another form of electromagnetic radiation. I don't know what's going on here. Are these plasma filaments? Charged particles? I also noticed some other thing. If we go back to before the explosion, look at this area here, for example. Here we have those very nice straight lines from the street. The same thing is visible also here, but I think it's easier to see here because here we have those straight lines. And as we go, now look at this area here. Now we have the explosion. And then we go one frame further just to after the explosion. See? There is this blurred out area, and something similar is going on here as well. After the explosion. This might be steam. This might be also a visual distortion by some kind of an electromagnetic field or the heat, like we have in the desert, for example, where the air is flickering. And it's almost here, you just still see it, this upper area. And in the next frame, we just only have it down here. So this might be steam going down after it cools. I don't know. And then it's gone entirely. There's still this one thing flying here. Maybe there's some other here. I don't know. No, they're part of the tree. Yeah. But anyway, let's go on to the next thing. Because I had the chance to participate in the EU Electric Universe Salon, the second time they made it. And yeah, I was very nervous because the whole thing was a live stream Here you can see it 5 hours 22 minutes. Yeah, that was that was very interesting. Here we have Gidahede. I don't know, probably butchering very badly her name, from Egypt. Here we would have Andy Hall, and on the top we have Ben Hyde, which is the host. So, in my presentation, at one point, I was talking about the difference between lava or magma and clay is basically only the water content. And as one of the examples of my claim, for example, that glaciers are basically lava streams made of water, but not only, I took the Mount Spur as an example, and here we have two glaciers basically. One is white and the other one is black. And many of these are like mud flows, clayish materials. And then also, I showed this plain Morde Glacier. Here we have the glacier, which is situated in Switzerland. And if you zoom in on Google Earth, you will find this here. Let me show you. Yeah, I'm online. That's very cool. Let's put photos away first. We are actually rather close already. Just give me a second. Let's go back to the video. I have been looking at this so many times, and now I'm not able to find it. It has to be here somewhere, because here it is, finally. Let's put this away for a second. I have been showing this many times in my mountain water videos. Not just for context. Here down in the corner you can see the height of where the mouse cursor is moving over the ground. So this white stuff here, the glacier is about 2,700 meters above sea level. The Plain Mort Glacier. And this is a spot I find very intriguing. Yeah. This might be clay bubbling up from the ground. In other words, we might look at an actual volcano. Very muddy waters. Mud volcano? Yeah, the Alps have no volcanoes, right? So let me show you still this. Everywhere in China, abandoned or dried up wells spew hot water in winter. Recently, groundwater bubbled up in many places in China. Yeah. So I think we have to, in a way, expect somewhat similar activity, increasing maybe in Europe as well, in not too distant future. As I've been writing in my mountain water paper about springs in the Alps from back in the days that spew out several meter high fountains of hot water. And after an earthquake, there wasn't that much water anymore. Let's just look up this earthquake quickly because this seems to be rather close to this thing here. Yeah, it's not too far. So we are on a hillside. Let's switch around north. It's probably a bit easier to orientate myself. So anyway, Monda, I think there is some mineral water brand associated with this area, which keeps us still within the frame of mountain water, as I call it. Yeah, actually, I wanted to show you, for those who don't know, some time ago, Google Earth made something very cool because they finally managed to get this kind of topographic maps, which aren't that accurate in topographic uh, manners, so to say, but they marked all the waterways. No, not all. Probably by far not all, but many. Many of which are almost impossible to see without this kind of a map. Let's just check this out. How good is it visible without this topographic map, or however you want to call it? It's not really topographic. Maybe. No. Is that the waterway here? Let's switch the map. Yeah. There would no chance that anyone would probably here would see it if he would know. If you know the trees, they're often very revealing. Yeah, check it out. The trees. Because if you go to places where we have fields, maybe this is not the best place, but anyway, where we have areas with fields, then these kind of tree lines are often very revealing what is going on beneath the ground. Yeah, think about this. Having this kind of Chinese bubbling up of water, also in the Alps, all of a sudden on a much bigger scale, in places like these, no one would have expected. Actually, I think there seems to be there has been another one on this side of the glacier. Yeah, here. There, I also, actually, before I forget it, I will put a link to my presentation here, where I show a bunch of stuff trying to explain that clouds seem to be plasma, which would make a huge impact on the whole science of meteorology. Yeah. As we speak of clouds, I also had the possibility to make a little bit longer presentation, 2.5 hours. The Brainstorm, we have Ben Hyde and Matt Finn, where I presented some pieces of my research, also microwave experiments, obviously. But I also talked about clouds. Let me show you just, for example, this here. Here we can see the energy. I explain it in the video. I will put links below. You can check it out. So I just wanted to show you basically the tree thing, which I find very interesting. Here is it. The exploding trees. Is there any plasma discharge going on there? So much electricity at the moment of explosion that we get light and heat just by freezing stuff over? Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks. Bye.